Now, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley. And, sir, thank you for your time, and good afternoon to you. I don't know what you're feeling right now, but go ahead and let's start there.
Well, I feel it's a great day for us going through a fair and thorough process that I said I was going to hold throughout the committee process. A lot of times I didn't know whether we'd ever get to this point, but I'm very glad we do. But I think the most important thing is to think about what it says about the background of Judge Kavanaugh, a person who has been very well educated, very well devoted to public service, but more importantly, 12 years on the second most important court in our land, and having 307 opinions that if anybody reads them, you know that he's going to serve as a justice, as anybody that's a judge should do, that he's going to look at the law, he's going to look at the facts of the case, he's going to lose his own personal views out of it, and he's going to not do what some judges do, be a super legislator trying to fill in holes or modernize the Constitution.
Senator Dana Perino, I wanted to ask you something about, the protesters. We've been showing these pictures. They're gathering en masse now in increasing numbers. That could obviously be expected. I wanted to ask you, though, about something Marie Harf said earlier. She's a Democrat served in the Obama administration, now a Fox News contributor. She said that the women gathered there, and that's not just women, but that women feel that Republicans only paid lip service to women who were victims of sexual abuse, and that they dismissed their concerns. And I wondered how you would respond to that, given that you chaired the committee.
Well, it's absolutely wrong. We didn't even know who Dr. Ford was until we read it in the Washington Post, and immediately I responded to her request to have appear before our committee, and we said it very early. They asked to have it delayed 4 or 5 days. We delayed it, and she had a full hearing. Oddly enough, if the Democrats were concerned about what Republicans might feel about that issue, the Democrats only gave her 10 minutes to answer any questions. Republicans gave her much, much more time and did focus on her and trying to get the facts out about her case. Democrats just spoke about her.
We ran the clock on that. I think it came out to 25 minutes on the Republican side and 10 minutes on the Democratic side. The point is taken there. However, even at the 11th hour yesterday, you're looking for all this paperwork on behalf of some of these Senate offices, specifically Dianne Feinstein and Mazi Hirono in Hawaii. What do you think was happening with these staffs behind the scenes? Why do you want that paperwork, Senator?
Well, it's paperwork from the fact that Dr. Ford gave various testimony before our committee, and as long as the testimony was given before our committee, we feel that we ought to have the information to back it up. And she also gave some of this information to the Washington Post, so why not give it to the committee as well?
The inference would be is that there's some funny games going on behind the scenes. Do you believe that was the case, or is the case?
Okay. Well, then I'll get beyond just the answer I gave you to a broader issue. Some of my committee feel that we ought to pursue an investigation on that. Right now, I'm glad to be where we are today. I want to get over this hump, and then after we get over this hump, I want to get back to a working relationship that I've had with Senator Feinstein and Democrats, because every bill that got out of my committee is a bipartisan bill. Now, the judges are a little bit more controversial, but I think that I want a working relationship with them, and I'm not sure that I want to stir up. Yeah. I'm not sure I want to stir up a lot of stuff.
Would you pursue this? And if so, paperwork in a letter is one thing, as you well know, but subpoena power is another matter. Would you go there next?
Then what I'm going to do is, my colleagues have spoken more about that than I have, even though the letters are from the chairman. I'm going to have a consultation and do it in a collegial way. But I think that since this has been such a strongly held views on this issue, we've got to get back to bipartisanship, and I want to encourage that.
a lot of people have asked about the process, but there was also this little bit of a sidebar story, and I wanted to get your take on it, because apparently yesterday when asked why there aren't more female senators on the committee, you said, well, it's a lot of work. Don't forget, compared to a lot of committee meetings, we have an executive every Thursday, so it's a lot of work. Maybe they don't want to do it. Are people taking that the wrong way?
Definitely. And what I should have done, in one sentence, I should have said, we even have a hard time getting men to serve on this committee. In fact, I think 3 men are serving on this committee only because the leader asked them to. So really, it's not something whether you're male or female. There is a lot of work on the committee, and there's a lot of controversy to it, and it's more politically and ideologically divided than most committees. And a lot of people, man or woman, don't want to get mixed up with that.
Yeah. Senator, did you have a sense of what Senator Collins was going to do yesterday afternoon? Did you have an idea of her speech? Did you have any contact with her 24 hours, perhaps in the final 24 hours before she went to the Senate floor yesterday?
I did not have. And I need to give her praise not only for her speech, but from almost day one of Kavanaugh being nominated, she set out on a very thorough reading of everything he wrote, being advised by lawyers on it. And she probably put in as much time, or more time maybe, than even members of the Judiciary Committee deciding how she was going to vote. And then in her final speech, she put in 45 minutes an accumulation of all the issues in this campaign, in this hearing. And I think people ought to read it if they want to get a full picture of everything that was done, and of course her reaction to it. But you know, it boils down to this in the final analysis, and I think her speech said this. For the first month and up until September 13th, it was always questioning about his qualifications. But once they couldn't touch him on his qualifications to be a justice on the Supreme Court because of his 12-year record on the second highest court in the land, then they went to all this dirt that came up. And of course, sexual assault accusations isn't a case of dirt, but think of all the other things that they came up with. When something didn't hit the wall, they threw something else at the wall. And when it didn't stick, they went to something else. All to get away from his qualifications, extreme qualifications to be on this court.
Sir, how would you respond to people who think that the integrity of the Supreme Court has been eroded because of this process, and they're worried that, you know, Americans are losing trust in the very institutions that are supposed to hold us together?
Can I give you a historical answer? Because
Sure.
I'm one of 4 or 5 people that was here when Clarence Thomas was here, and you remember the Anita Hill controversies, and you know about Thomas talking about the high-tech lynching. I heard exactly those same things at that time, and I think if you look back at 28 years of Thomas being on the court, none of that resentment ever came up in any of his hearings, and no more politics has been involved in the last 28 years, even though we had the same reaction at that time.
Wow. 25 years later, huh, Senator?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you kept her cool for most of the process. There was a moment, however, was it 24, 25 hours ago, when you were addressing fake news and reporters on the Capitol. What was that all about?
Well, I thought that I wanted an opportunity to say one thing. I don't want to criticize you folks doing your job. I might disagree with you a lot. I may not think you're doing it right, but I don't want to criticize you because I consider you very important to make sure that our representative system of government operates the way the Constitution intends it to operate, and everybody that's in it is honest and forthright. But there are times, and this time was outside my office. I had both pro-Kavanaugh and anti-Kavanaugh people in my office. And right outside my office, we had camera people set to take pictures on anything they could, even trying to get me from time to time. So we had people that were pro-Kavanaugh went out and said, I'd like to be interviewed on why I'm for Kavanaugh. I'm a member of Women for Kavanaugh. And they said, well, we're not interested in interviewing anybody that's for Kavanaugh. We're interviewing people that are against Kavanaugh. Now, that shows a bias that the free press and free TV and everything else that is First Amendment protected doesn't follow the spirit of the Constitution.
Senator, thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. Do you think it's done, yes or no?
Yes, 50 to 48, I guess, would be the count right now.
Chuck Grassley.
Right.
Thank you, sir.